Welcome to the Growth Gap podcast, where we turn stuck into unstoppable. I'm your host, Aslam Khatri, entrepreneur, author, and your guide to bridging the gap between where you are and where you are meant to be. Let's dive in. Often I'm asked the same question by a lot of young people as to what should they be doing in their life? What profession should they be following? A lot of people talk about, well, I don't know what my passion is. I don't know what to do. I've done my schooling, I've done my college, now I want to go to university. But I have so many options. What should I be doing? And I always answer them one answer, and that is that we are living truly in the times of shattered times. It is so much growth out there. When we look at space tourism, when we look at artificial intelligence just breaking all the barriers, and when we see that the corporations hitting $1 trillion mark, surely we know that we have come a long way and we have a long way to go. Because the growth does not wait for anybody. It just continues for those who follow it. And that's what I try to tell my people. That's what I try to explain it to the people. It is not at the beginning a question of what is my passion, how am I going to succeed, what is going to be the timeline, what is going to happen, how am I going to become so successful. Well, I always give them one answer, and that is start. Start from somewhere. We all need to start from somewhere. Once we start, once we look for the opportunities are there. Now, it may not be something that you're looking for. Because if you're waiting for something great to happen, if you're waiting for something wonderful to happen, I have news for you. It will not happen that quickly. You need to go out. You need to go out and look for those opportunities. You need to go out and focus and look and see what is going to be ready for you. What is available for you? What is out there? I remember my early days when I came to Canada. I was 18 and a half years old. I was basically alone and broke, which it was fine. That's the way it was. But at that point, I had two things going for myself. Two situations that were. One was very simple, was the question of survival. How am I going to survive? What am I going to do to survive, to get to the next stage? And that meant was to go to school at night and to look for a job in the daytime. And a job was to work with an accounting firm, as I wanted to become a certified public accountant. And there was no question of what was the passion. There was no question of what was the desire. The question was, who will hire me? Where are the opportunities? Once I found those opportunities, then I start working there. When you start doing that, this is when you start to see more and more opportunities come your way. You also start to see at that point what is the thing that you find yourself good at. Somehow or the other, it is only by working, it's only by doing things that we discover our own hidden talent. It is only by going out, having that opportunity in front of us, and then finding it out. It never comes to you. You have to go to it. When I did that, I was lucky enough to see so many different businesses. I was lucky enough to see so many business people, so many entrepreneurs, and you could see the ones who focused did very, very well, and the ones who were just there to fill in the time didn't take very long for them to go to fail, because that's what happens. So my advice has always been, go look for the opportunities. They are there. No, it's not going to be an overnight success. I've talked about that in many of my podcasts. But if you're mindful, if you're focused, then opportunities just keep on growing within. So first thing that you need to do is go look for that opportunity. Go look for that job, or go look for that small business that you want to start. But that's where it's got to start from. And you need to give it enough time for it to show. See, what's happened more and more is people get bored. You get very quickly bored with what is happening. I mean, say people will say, I've been at it for 1 year, and I really don't see a great success. So I said, fine. If you really feel that you have given it all you have, then by all means, quit and start something else. But the question, the deep down question is, have you given it all you got? And that becomes the most important thing, is have you given it all you got? Have you worked hard enough, or do you see the opportunities increasing instead of opportunities decreasing? That's where a lot of people make that particular mistake, where they just feel that, well, I'm good at it, I'm going to do this is my passion, and it is going to turn around and become something very, very successful for me. I've not seen that. I've not, like I've talked about before, the overnight success is really a result from many years of grind. So people who just say to themselves that I'll just start something and voila, it'll be all done, that doesn't happen. Now, absolutely you need to follow your passion. Absolutely you need to follow your heart. I'm saying you don't want to go somewhere where you're making money and you are not very happy, which is the first lesson, first of my psychology lesson in it was psychology 1 at McGill, where the teacher came in, the professor came in, and he said, his first question was very simple. He says, and in those days it was a lot of money, he says, if you make $1,000 a week just licking envelopes, would you take that job? And the answer was no, because it's monotonous. It's something that you are just going to get bored, and something you don't want to do. And yes, those days it was a lot of $1,000 was a lot of money. Say today, it's almost like $10,000. But the question is, there is something between licking envelopes and going into the next, doing something else that is not necessarily your 100% your passion, but something that provides you at least a good living, where then you can decide as to what your next step could be. So, you see, when you start something, and if you're good at it, and if you make good money at it, and if you're very satisfied, then perhaps that was your passion. But even if it wasn't your passion and you still want to pursue something else, first what you've done is you have given yourself that room. You've given yourself that room to grow. You've given yourself that room where you feel that now you can do much better. So to me, I tell people one thing is, put your attention, put your focus on opportunities. What are the opportunities? I'm starting this channels, and I've given it a new name, and our new name is The Growth Gap. And I've truly thought a lot about it, and the reason this name fits so well for me to talk about is that so many of us want to do things in our life. We all have those desires. We all have that second, first part which says that you're fighting, living to fight for your survival. But then there's a second part that's a would be nice. That is something that your heart desires, that you really want to call out as something that's your calling. So how many people that we know that they start at a space and they want to get somewhere else, somewhere much higher, but
they're stuck at this place all the time. And that to get from here to here, that's the growth gap. The question is, how do we do that? It's okay and it's perfect and it's fine that we want to get there. But we're stuck here. Why are we stuck here? Because most of us sometimes don't look at as to where the opportunity is coming. We just don't focus on the opportunity. And unless and until you're going to focus on the opportunity, until and unless you're going to say, this is my mindset, this is what I'm going to do. Unless and until you're going to make the goals within those opportunities that are available to you, you will see that the doors will open up for you automatically. And when those doors open, you can feel it. You can see it. You can see that it's all there. I've seen over the period of life, first of all, being an accountant, I had a tremendous amount of clients. I had a list of clients who I would go visit. And you could truly see the ones who are going to make it, and the others, that they're just going to hang on with a thread. I had people who come to me, and it's successful people who said, you know what, I cannot pay you today, but I know I'll make it because I'm doing this, and that's what my goal is. Can you help me? And it was a pleasure because it always paid more than I expected afterwards, because you could feel that is their focus, that they have found this opportunity, they know they can make great with that opportunity, and they know they can go with it. So what I tell people is, first, identify what's out there. And the only way you're going to identify is being out on the field. No, the opportunity is not going to come to you. I understand that, and it's a wonderful, it's a wonderful thought that the opportunity is going to come. But the opportunity, we have to go look for it. It doesn't come to us. You can't be just sitting at home, and I don't mean it in any bad way, by saying somebody's going to call me. I, in my life, never saw somebody calling me up and giving me $1 million contract. But I had $1 million contracts which were based on going out and doing it. So, and I'm being very candid. I'm being extremely candid. I'm being extremely brutal, because what I find in many things where people, particularly today, where people feel that something will just come up and I will do something. And those dreamers, they were then, from my young days and to now. And unfortunately, I have not seen them do anything other than dream and hope for something good to come. So we need to go out. You just need to go out. Opportunities are there. Knock at them. Start working. Even when people talk to me about starting a small business, I've always said to the people, if you don't have the capital to start a small business, if you don't have the means, if you feel you cannot do it, go look for a job with our industry. Most of our businesses are a few $1 million. Most of the businesses that are run. Now, what happens to those people is they retire, they get to a retirement age, but they have nobody that they can sell the business to. They have nobody that they have very limited choices out there. So most of the people who worked for 40 years or 30 years building a small business, a small $2 million business, $3 million business, they get to a point where now they want to retire. Now they're looking for somebody to take over, but there's nobody. Because it just, that's how it is. It's just small enough business where people don't want to buy a business without somebody who's running it. Now, if I was a young man, this is what I would do. I would go look for those opportunities. Go work with that person. Go work for a person who's getting towards a retirement age. Work with them, learn the business, and then become their customer. Buy the business from that particular person, and before you know, you have already made business. So you see, the point I'm trying to make is there's not going to be a 3 months. Success is not going to be in 3 months. You cannot just get bored and say, well, you need to grind it out. You need to work it out, and you need to do it. So whoever it is, and yes, if it works into your passion, if it works into the domain of your passion, then it's beautiful. But if it isn't, still, you need to go look for those opportunities. And once you find those opportunities, you can do so much with it, because it is the hard work that's going to bring you to where you're going to be. And it's going to be the time. It is the time that we put.
Thanks for tuning into the Growth Gap podcast. If you're serious about growing, don't just listen, apply. Subscribe, rate, and review. Share this with someone who's ready to level up. I'll catch you next week. Keep going. You got this.